Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 417 for the 16th of April. And let's start off with the everyone's favorite topic, Bakhmut, or bad mood. So at bad mood, we have a very bad mood from the Ukrainian side. There's geolocation of Russian forces at this position, according to Deep State UA, and for the Russians to be here means that the front line have actually moved. If you look at the previous front line, it's actually like this. As you can see that the Ukrainian forces have been pushed back, from here to here, and so the Russian forces have actually progressed this much. And this mapping is based on Deep State UA's mapping. So this is the Ukrainian mapping. So this is as good as it gets. So this is actually very reliable because the Ukrainians are reporting on Russian advances. Fighting is being reported first at Kozachenka Street, according to SITREP maps. However, Deep State UA actually reported a more advanced line at Kosmonaftov Street. Cosmonaut Street. So anyway, so the Surya Maps mapping is actually around here. However, Deep State US mapping is actually here. So it's actually a bit more advanced than what Surya Maps is reporting. Surya Maps is a neutral source, and fighting is also reported on the western side of the railway station. As the Russian forces have captured this area, the information is coming from Deep State UA as well, which is actually them conceding as well that the Ukrainian forces has already fallen back to the western part of the railway line, and this is the only part that they are still holding on the eastern part. And further up north, there is fighting, heavy fighting reported at the grain elevator region, according to Deep State UA. And Ryba also reported about this fighting around this area here. And moving on, there is fighting reported in the north, in this area and in this area here. However, they didn't really, it's only shown in on maps and it's not shown in writing, so I do not really have anything to quote, but do know that the fighting is actually across the entire front. And so moving on, there is fighting reported at Kreminna, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. There is reports of Ukrainian counterattack towards Melnivnovka, which I kind of found it's not really a town, but it's actually more of a railway station around here. So the Ukrainian forces are actually attacking in this direction, probably from this road, try to push back the Russian forces, but so far it didn't seem to have succeeded since the Russian Defense Ministry talked about it. There is also fighting reported at Ivaniske, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, with the Russian forces, particularly the VDV, the airborne forces, putting pressure on the flanks of this battle of Bakhmut. Moving further out, there is fighting reported at Bogdanivka, according to Ryba, the pro-Russian source, as well as at Orikovo-Vasilivka. And otherwise, there is a lot of bombardment reports. There is shelling being reported at Bogdanivka, Chasivya, as well as at Konstantinivka. This is reported by the Russian Defense Ministry, and so as per the previous SITREP, I have mentioned that the Russians starting to hit more towards the rear of the Ukrainian positions rather than more towards the front, is attacking the rear. Probably there is some build-up of Ukrainian forces in this area that the Russians are starting to have some concerns, which is why they are shelling all the rear areas. And that's all from the Bakhmut front. And moving on to the, I would say, which one should we go for? Avdiivka front. At the Avdiivka front, we have fighting reported at Novokalinove in the north of Avdiivka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. There is also fighting on the western part of Avdiivka from Nevelsky, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, Pervomayske, Zhevene, Vodian, all are reported Russian offensive operations in this area here. And however, Surya Maps, sorry, not Surya Maps, Ryba actually reported something different. Ryba said that the Ukrainians are actually launching counterattack in this area here. So it's unclear because the Ukrainian Defense Ministry actually said that it's the Russians that is attacking in this area. So maybe they are just projecting. And then that's all from the Avdiivka front. Moving on, I want to report a bit more on the macro scale. Deep State UA reported, and I also saw this on other tweets, that Slovakia has completed their transfer of the remaining 9 MiG-29 to Ukraine. So in total, they have handed over all 13 aircraft. 4 was transferred in March. So 9 is now being transferred to the Ukrainian side. So Ukrainian Air Force has now another 9 MiG-29s to use. And however, the good news is marred by bad news. Poland has temporarily banned Ukrainian agricultural products as a result of protests by Polish farmers due to claim that the imports have sharply increased the Ukrainian grains, driving down prices of the market. So the Poland reacted by banning, but this ban seems to be temporary because it's only in effect until June 30th. And the Ukrainian government say it regrets the Poland's decision, say that this contradicts the agreements between the two countries, and they wanted mutual understanding and constructive dialogue with Poland. So let's see how that goes. And moving on into the Zaporizhia line. At the Zaporizhia line, there is a lot of bombardment being reported at Kupyansk, Mala-Tomashka, Zahirne, and Novoselka, as well as Velika Novoselka. Yeah, correct. So the most of this shelling is actually reported in today's Russian Defense Ministry report, which is their noon report. And most of this shelling is probably happened yesterday. And moving on to next door, into the western part of Donetsk city, we have this is actually shelling. Why did I write fighting? Shelling, yeah. I put the wrong icon. And there is actually Ukrainian attack or DRG operations reported at Novodonetsk. So the Ukrainian forces seems to be pushing a little bit down to Novodonetsk, trying to find if there's any weak spot along this area here. They got contacted by Russian artillery. And at Voleda itself, this city or small little city has been the victim of continued shelling. After a hiatus of 1 day, on the 16th, shelling has resumed at Voleda. And on the 17th, the reports of the Russian Defense Ministry continue to name Voleda as the victim of their shelling by Air Force and artillery. The DRG operations, the recon operations by the Ukrainian forces continue at Novomikhailivka. And sorry, in this area, blue color. And is being suppressed as well, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. Reinforcement of the Russian forces has been reported at Marinka, according to the pro-Russian source Ryba, claiming that they are preparing a new offensive attempt. So that's kind of unusual because the pro-Russian sources seldom talk about reinforcement of the Russian side. They usually talk only about the Ukrainian side. And moving on, there is also reinforcement reported at Pervomaiske, over at the Avdiivka region. And moving on, we go to the Kupyansk front. At the Kupyansk front, there is the Ukrainian probing continued at Masyotivka, according to the Russian Defense Ministry, and also at Sinkivka. This is reported today. The previous one was reported yesterday. And this probing is continued at Kaislivka on the 17th. Novoselivsky on the 16th, Kuzemivka on the 16th, Stemakivka on the 17th. And these are all Ukrainian probing operations. They are trying to find weak spots in the Russian lines as they are pushing in multiple areas, trying to find weak spots. The Russian Defense Ministry, however, also reported a lot of shelling at Vorishna on the 16th, Sinkivka on the 16th, Timkovka got hit twice, 16 and on the 17th, and Tabaivka on the 17th. 17. These are dates of the reports, just in case. you get confused. The Berestove is reportedly shot on their 17th report, and Semakivka on the 16th report. And so the front line is still stagnant in this area. The Russian forces are bracing themselves for a potential Ukrainian offensive. So the Ukrainians are trying to probe in multiple locations. Sorry for my mouse. And however, the Russians are also consistently shelling Ukrainian positions to make sure that they cannot actually build up enough forces for any offensive. And moving on to the Kreminna Front. At the Kreminna Front, there is fighting reported south of Ploshchanka on the east of Nevsky. There is shelling reported at Nevsky, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. The Ukrainians probe in the region near Shevno-Popivka, as well as at Yampolivka. Shelling is being reported at Terny, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. And there's shelling reported at Dibrova on both days, 16th and on the 17th, according to the Russian Defense Ministry. This probably shelling actually within the forestry, as well as there is a geolocation of a Russian UR-77 meteorite that attacked the Ukrainian forces around this area here. And this shows that the Russians have control over this area. And there is fighting reported at the Serebransky forestry, according to Ryba. There is fighting reported in the north of Krychorivka, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, which actually refers to the Serebransky forestry region, probably along the river as well. And there is also shelling at Krychorivka on the 16th and on the 17th. Moving into the Sivas front, we have fighting reported near Sperne, according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry. And there is actually probing reported by the Russian Defense Ministry towards Sako Ivansete, which is actually this here, the Russian town here. So the Ukrainians are still trying to push this area here. Wrong color consistently. Yeah, sorry for my arrow skill. Today's arrow is actually very inaccurate. Yeah, getting a bit tired. Yeah, so that's all from the Sivas front. And I think that is all for the summary for the day of 417 for the 16th of April. And do press the like button, subscribe if you are not subscribed yet, and do share this everywhere. And I'll see you in the next update.